The other thing I wanted to get into while we have you, Carson, has to do with stands. Because
yes.
let me tell you, Carson, Kevin Lieber of Vsauce 2 does not have a lot of stands.
Right.
There are people who like my videos. There are people who love this podcast. But stands seem to be a different thing, like a different level.
Well, I can't tell you why I have.
What's up with that? What is it? What is a stand? Can you define stand?
Yes. A stan is typically a fan that is a little bit obsessive or takes like the creator's traits as their own to find friends, I guess. So a lot of stans will typically congregate in the same circles online. They will change their profile picture to a creator, and then other stans will find this person and then try and become friends with them because they like the same person. So these create big social circles that quote unquote stan a creator. And then my opinion is that it can become a rather toxic echo chamber of a lot of people who want to keep friends, and then one has the opinion and then everyone follows that opinion because they want to stay friends with that person, type of thing. So for me, I've dealt with a lot of stans that have been rather toxic towards me or found things they're very nitpicky on a lot of stuff. This is not the same for everyone, but for me, that's been my experience. Why do you bring up stans?
Well, I remember this being like a whole thing. This is a whole thing about your stans causing problems. And, I always hear, I know that the term stan comes from that Eminem song where the guy is obsessed with Eminem and he keeps writing him letters, right. And eventually, he like kills himself because Eminem never wrote him back. And right. So it's like, obsessive fans. But so you're saying essentially like a stan, they sort of make their identity or their online identity based around their fandom of a certain person?
Yes. So, well, yes and no. I think they're all individuals, but the way that stans typically become stans is because they want to make friends with people that share the same interests. You'll see all these posts where people will just list a bunch of things that they like and then say, if you like any of these things, DM me or something like that. And it's just I think it's a lot of teenagers that are generally just trying to make friends, but then they put themselves in this social circle and then just kind of follow the pack. I think a lot of the stans will say that they take the word stan, which is a combination of the word stalker and fan, and then say, well, we've changed the meaning of the word and I'm not gonna fight against that. But I think they're generally just people that are trying to make friends and aren't going about it in the typical ways, instead going about it in online social circles.
Something happened the same time that you were talking about stans on Twitter a lot, and when the stan-pocalypse hit, this tweet popped from Scott Kramer, who's really funny. If anybody doesn't know Scott Kramer, he's got like wholesome humor. It's awesome. I like him a lot. Somebody left a comment on one of his videos that was this long, detailed comment that amounted to, Scott, why are you doing what you want to do? Why can't you do the things that I was a fan of, the funny things that I liked? And it seemed like this person had become a stan of a thing that doesn't even exist anymore. Like almost like a stan of this brand rather than being a legitimate fan of Scott who continues to do, different things. And everybody does unique stuff with their content. That's just the evolution of it. And she was so bothered by him being original that she was just way too attached to whatever she was a fan of in the past. Do you feel like people have done that with your humor?
No, because my humor hasn't really changed. But I would say there is a certain, I want to use the word, entitlement, I guess, that some people get where they feel like, they supported you through this, blah, blah, blah. And now you owe them. And I think that's a result of parasocial relationships.
It sounds like this starts out like completely innocently, where someone is just, like you said, trying to make friends. And also, I want to go back and apologize for how boomer it was for me for me to ask you like what a stan is. But
No worries.
I seriously
think it's
don't
a very
know.
new term.
Yeah, like
It's a new term. Yeah.
I'm not privy to that part of the internet, and it is a new term, and just seems to be kind of like a new thing. And I don't have 1,000 people using my face as their avatar and
Right.
demanding things from me. So my question is, how does it go wrong? Like, how does it go from people just trying to make friends around the thing that they like to demanding that you do XYZ? Like, when does that happen?
Well, I have some theories. First of all, I think a lot of them are teens. I think a lot of them are teenagers that haven't really grown up all that much yet. They feel as if they're the only people that, like, their social circle is the only people that actually support and watch or enjoy that content. With my stans, that was very much the case. They say, we've loved you and supported you through everything, and this is how you treat us. When they were being very toxic towards me.
How are you treating them? Like, why would they say this is how you treat us? What does that mean?
So they start on these circles of getting very upset over anything that I do.
Mhm.
And so I would just say, I started commenting on that, and then they started calling me racist and dragging up things from years ago. Like I said the N-word when I was like I don't know, like 17 or something, and then they brought that back up, and I was like, well, I've changed. I was a stupid teenager myself back then. Clearly don't stand by that now. But then they go from that to then going to another thing or onto another thing, just so that they can keep being angry. And then I think a lot of them would see their friends being angry over this thing and then also get angry over that thing, so that their friends would like them or something like that. I saw so many people that don't watch me start ganging up when I blocked a few stands and getting really upset at me. And it was like, you've never watched my content. Why do you care? So I think it's really just a lot of teens that want to be friends with each other, and they just don't really know how, but then they use that kind of weird social dynamic with the creator as a certain sense of entitlement to them. Like they have say over that creator in a way. Very weird. Does that help?
Yeah. I'm
Or is that too confusing?
It's not confusing. I mean, we just did an hour and 15 minutes talking about the Jenna Marbles situation, and what you just detailed reminds me a lot of what happened with her, where it seemed like she was getting bombarded and mobbed in a lot of ways, I guess, by people who might have been her biggest fans, or maybe they were not, and they were just joining in on
Right.
attacking someone. So what is your advice then for handling this? Because it seems like an odd dynamic to me, this like thin line between biggest supporter and biggest attacker.
Well, I don't think any of my stans were my biggest supporters.
Okay.
I never thought that. I think they thought they were. So what would be my advice to anyone that deals with something like that?
Yeah, or advice to people engaged in this and engaged in wanting to be a fan of someone without, I guess, getting drawn into that behavior.
Well, I think, okay, I'm a fan of a lot of people, but I'm not going and then using the fact that I'm a fan of someone as a way to like either make friends or grow my social status or anything. So I would recommend, don't make it your entire personality online. Try to make friends based of who you are, instead of making these weird social relationships online that are based off of just you liking another creator as the same person. As for other creators, I would say cancel culture isn't real unless it's attacking sponsors or brands. Otherwise, cancel culture, unless you really fucked up, you are going to be fine. In fact, most of the time when you are getting talked about, you're getting talked about more and more. It's actually going to help your brand. Just be willing to say, this isn't who I am now, especially if it's something from a long time ago. Like, just say, I don't stand by that, and I've matured since then, so I don't know why you're bringing it up now. What are they going to say? Like, oh, you're still a terrible person now. Oh, how do you know? So I genuinely think you're going to be fine. Just own up to your mistakes and be willing to say, I'm a different person than I was, and I think you'll be fine. Or if you stand by what you did, then say that and then give your reasons, and then the people who disagree will move on, and you'll probably still have a platform. So it doesn't matter. That's my 2 cents.